I know Daniel personally, and he is definitely all in, true blue seasoned marketing and comms professional. And he has spent over 10 years in large MNCs from various industries, such as banking and consumer goods. And as I've said earlier on, his career journey is an interesting one, so I'll leave him to share his journey with you. But throughout his marketing career, he has achieved several key awards. And that was the first thing that caught my eye when I, connected with him in LinkedIn. So that's another key tip that everybody can take away here as well. And he's been recognized for his contributions and achievements, which included the likes of product revenue and campaign performance. We all know how difficult campaigns are, and it's short run and we need a lot of results. So it's very transparent, I would say. And as a marketer, Daniel holds a proven track record within most sub-disciplines, including marketing comms, product marketing, marketing strategy, as well as digital marketing. Wow, I think that's like, you're already future proving yourself, Daniel. So he's well versed in both marketing profession as well as the corporate world, and having spent his time in several companies and industries, including global and regional roles, both as an individual contributor and a people leader. So today I am so glad to have him here because he's going to share with us from a professional perspective how to market yourself, right? Which is his domain knowledge in career conversations. Wow. So happy, Daniel. Welcome, welcome. So do you want me to bring on this or give me the cue?
Sure, you can I'll just introduce myself, and I don't have a lot of slides. I think it's probably good for us to answer a bit more questions.
Yeah.
And I've been reading a lot of the questions. I think are very interesting. So we'll get to that. But let me just share a bit about myself, and I don't know whether this might inspire some of you or like ring some bells. So about me. So thank you, Eileen, for the introduction. So yes, I've been a marketeer all my career, 10 years and counting. So my journey, as Eileen has mentioned, has been not a straight line. Yeah, and we'll talk about that later on. So I started, in school I was a normal acad student, and I went to study engineering informatics, which was my first choice. I don't know how many people put engineering as their first choice today. Like for those of you who have kids or nephews and nieces, yeah. But back then, IT, I think I was going into poly when it was the IT boom. Yeah, so IT and engineering informatics, anything with the word informatics is first choice, right? And then fast forward, I got my first job. I went to uni, and then I had my first career choice. This is interesting. First career choice as entering my 20s was to choose between Hewlett Packard. I think you all know who they are. Back then they were, top 50, top 100, Fortune 150 companies, right? I think they still are. Over a sports media industry or the media industry, right? And guess who I chose? I actually chose to go to the sports media industry. I didn't go to HP, and my parents killed me for it. I'll never forget that. And nobody agreed with my decision. Yeah. And I went to uni. After that, what happened was I gave up my full-time role, and I decided, hey, what I learned from the sports media industry was I want to do marketing, and I don't want to wait so many years in full-time study. I'm going to study part-time, and I'm going to pursue what I want to do. And I went back to part-time studies, and I got my first job as a marketing assistant, right? And my first job as a marketing assistant was with a company called SAP, German software company. So I was very lucky, many opportunities for me to learn. And then from then on, I just moved up in my career, right? To a marketing executive, manager, and then here I am now. So I got my first job in banking. Something interesting to tell all of you also, because I think some of these will raise questions. My first job, I entered banking, and bearing in mind I have no business background, maybe only my degree, right? That was when the market crashed. Yeah, so my first job, imagine how hard is it, right? I'm sure many of us who have the younger ones, you enter your first job and then the market crash, right? And then inflation, and then now you got GST going up and all these things. So that was what I went through, right? And then I went somewhere, fast forward in my mid-career, I joined a company called Sony. I was a marketer there, and that was where I transformed myself into a digital marketer. Okay. And then that's probably where I started winning awards and doing well, and then doing all the, and getting some visibility, right? And all these things. And then the last part is, in the past few years, I actually went through some challenges. I think Eileen would know. There was some restructuring, and I actually was a big company. Less than a year in that company, they had some restructuring, which is very common today. And then they offered me another role, but I said no to it. And then I took a break. I went to lecture for a while in one of the local institutions. And then I have just recently re-entered the industry with HSBC. So I saw somebody ask a question, am I still with HSBC? Yes, I'm still with HSBC. Okay, so Eileen, if you just fast forward to I only have 2 slides, guys. Okay, so just bear with me, I'll answer questions. So I think if you sum up and why I shared my career journey with all of you, my message to you is 2 things, right? Number one is, if you look at this chart on the right-hand side of this slide here, many people, especially nowadays with social media and LinkedIn, they associate success as a straight line, right? You go from point A to B and it's a very straight progression, but actually in truth, you will face many, many challenges, right? And some succeed, some don't, as all of us well know, right? If you ask around your circles, I'm sure you will find people who are more successful than others, right? So that is something I wanted to share, right? Success is a continuous struggle. If you look at my career, the previous slide, I think that's a prime example, and I know many more people who are like that. Okay, and also to tell all of you that just because you are comparing yourself to other people and for some reason you are not at their level or whatever, it's not the end, right? It only stops when you stop trying, or when you believe it is, then there's no one can help you. And then the other thing I would just say is there are 2 quotes that I live by. And the first one is, if you never failed, you never try anything. There's many ways to say this, but this ties in with that chart I talked about, right? Success is, many people think of success as, I only want success, nothing else. But actually, and they see failure as a boogie word, right? But actually, failure is 99% success. If you think about it, right? You will fail and fail and fail, and then you will succeed one day. The truth is, not everybody is lucky enough to find a manager who will support them in their first job. Not everyone is lucky enough to have success in their first try, right? The reality is we have to keep trying, and it's a never-ending struggle. So my message is, failure is very much a normal part. So let us not look at failure as a bogey word. It's a very normal thing. Okay, what you do with failure is the more important thing. The other thing is small wins, right? Many of us look at success. Again, I want to achieve this success, but what do you do to get there, right? So many of us lose sight of what is the first step, and sometimes if you take 2 big steps, or you aim too high and you don't plan in between, then I call this setting yourself up for failure, because you don't plan. You don't plan. If you don't plan, you plan to fail, right? So that's what people say. So you have to start from the first step, small steps, and then eventually one day you realize, hey, I made it this far, right? So this is really what I believe. And again, I thought I'd share that very quick slide about my career as an example for all of you. Yeah. So Eileen, I think that's really it for me. I'm not here to talk so much about marketing.
I understand. There are a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Couple of
so
questions.
Let's go to the questions, and I do have some answers to some questions
Please do. Please just share.
that people have asked. And again, this is from my own point of view, right? So I think, should I answer the questions first, or?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I think somebody asked about Glassdoor. Glassdoor is very interesting because, and I know many people look at Glassdoor to try and find out about a company. And I think there's many other sources, right? You have, I think, other websites like Indeed and a few more. My personal experience, because I myself used to look at Glassdoor, and I've been in those companies, right, in my career. when you look at Glassdoor, it's always, there's some aspects to it. The reality is, and I'm going to be very blunt here. I'm going to be very blunt as I can, because I believe the truth is what all of us want. Is some of these reviews are planted. They are planted. You know what they are, right? Some of them are planted because the recruitment company, the recruitment department, some of them, they have very poor ratings, and then you check them 6 months later, suddenly their score shoots up to maybe a perfect 5. Impossible, right? Why? Because they have to attract talent. As Sean mentioned, it's a war for talent, right? And they know people are looking over there. The other point of view is there are people who go in there and write reviews, and they are legit reviews. What I would say is some of these reviews, take it with a big pinch of salt, because some of these people are very grievance people. They have some problem with the manager, and whatever they write down is from that lens, from that point of view, and that may not represent the company, right? And as Sean mentioned rightfully, sometimes it's the manager, and it's true, people don't leave companies, they leave managers, and that manager should not represent the company, right? And there's also the question about chemistry, which is why interviews are there. We will come to that, career conversations. Interviews are looking for chemistry. So, and then there are also some people who genuinely are happy with the company and they write a good review. So look at it from this point of view and don't just take, oh, it's overall negative and that's it. And I'm just going to add on to the last point that we were talking about with Sean about talking to families and employees in the company about finding out what it's like working in there. When you I think it's really important. I do really agree with Eileen's point about the middleman. I think that's my biggest takeaway for today, because people neglect I mean, you always talk to the hiring manager, the hiring panel, the management, and then the HR, before that the HR folks. You should always prioritize talking to the employees. And when I joined HSBC, I actually had a chance to talk to the people I'm going to work with and I'm working with today. That's really important because you get to find a lot of perspective about the company that I don't know whether is it the question you should be asking or should not be asking, but you just get a lot of insights from these people. Because after all, the manager is going to leave you to work with this person, these people, right? These are your day-to-day. So that's really important. So I think if you don't have the chance to do this, and I know many companies still don't have the practice of letting you speak to your colleagues, ask for it. Ask the manager, do you mind if I actually have a chance to speak? And I remember last time I had one interview, and I asked the manager before, they didn't offer me the chance. I said, do you think it's okay if I spoke to someone in the team and got their point of view? And I didn't put it in a way like saying that, no, I don't believe you, I don't trust your words, you're the manager, you want to attract me, right? I mean, you say, okay, right? But no, it's more like I really genuinely wanted to learn about the process and how things are done. And I showed that interest, and then eventually I got on that call and I found out a lot of things from that call, right? That whether is it politically correct for the manager to say or not, but no, right? So that's something that I wanted to do.
This is amazing. You never know what you get until you ask.
Yeah.
But
so that really
be prepared
happened
for rejection.
Yeah. So then you ask around, right? You ask people. And the last point I would say before we answer other questions is, I believe the most important source of information for companies is your ex-colleagues. Your ex-colleagues, not your network, not your friends, your ex-colleagues. Because your ex-colleagues, they know very well your working style. They know you very well from a professional level. Sometimes if you're close to them at a personal level. And the people that have helped me in my career till today, the most are my ex-colleagues. It comes to a point where I don't even have to explain to them what do I need from them. I just call them and say, hey, I need your help for a reference. I need your help to talk to this guy for me. They will say, I'm on it, because they know everything about you, right? Your friends, as I think Sean mentioned or Eileen mentioned, they may give you some kind of a stretch truth. They may hide some things from you, but your colleagues, for some reason, in my point of view, they don't. You've already been in that boat with them, right? And they may be in another company where they may not know someone that you are trying to go from a company you're trying to join, but they may know somebody. This always is the case for me, right? They will find someone, they will know someone, and because they are ex-colleagues, they really know you very well. You don't have to sell yourself, right? So my message is, what does that mean? Whenever, don't underestimate where you are right now, even if you are very unhappy, be professional, treat people with respect, because you never know. These people, you need them, right? You need them. Even people that I've spoken to before from an interview, I didn't get the job. Guess what? 1-2 days later, I meet them again, and then you have to create the conversation again. So people that you've worked with before, dealt with before, always treat them with respect. Don't be fake, but be respectful and genuine, because one day you never know, they have to speak up for you. And if they know you well and you are really good, you don't have to do anything. They will do it for you. In fact, they will sell you better than you will sell yourself. Right? And honestly, this is true. Or this is my honest truth. Yeah. Okay.
That's kind of how I know you too. You were strongly recommended by your ex-colleague.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so I think that's it from me, really. I just want to allow this
You got
time
quite
for
a few
everyone
questions.
to answer questions. Okay. Let me see. Let's treat this. I think we'll move it as a panel. Currently in the media, considering career switch in marketing. Okay, good. Yeah, interesting. Digital marketing. I feel that marketing field is getting saturated. May I have your thoughts on the future of marketing? Okay. I think what I remember, Sean mentioned something about 10 years ago, HR being one thing, and then 10 years later, HR is something else. This applies to everything. Sean is absolutely right. And then the government, our own government, is talking about transforming ourselves, right? Upgrading ourselves. So this is not fluff. This is not rubbish. This is true. We need to upgrade ourselves. So for people who are looking to enter, or Hun Swan, I see your question as a career switch question, not just marketing. So I'll answer this for people who are not only looking at marketing, right? The question is, you need to take the initiative to find out what is the next big thing in the industry. So what I would do, I think what was mentioned by Sean is you go for networking events. What I would do is I would read up on thought leaders. Like in marketing, there's this guy called Neil Patel, right? Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows who is Gary Vaynerchuk and all these marketing gurus, right? When you have your free time, choose to use your time to learn about these things. I used to use my free time to take certifications, right? I never gave up. Even if I felt I knew everything, I still went for courses, certifications. And even if you think you got it figured out, guess what? You still got to try to reinvent yourself and learn more, because if you don't do it, the next person is going to do it and they're going to get the job. That's how it is, right? So you have to learn. And I guess if you can't do that, then you are not as interested as you think you are to do that career switch, isn't it? Because when you go in front of the interview and you do that, they will ask you, why do you want to do this switch? Why you want to switch your career? They will then you have to, it will show, right? You haven't been doing your research, you haven't been studying, you haven't been speaking to people. They can tell even without you saying anything. But if you're genuinely interested, you can say, oh, I read that marketing has this. I read that this is happening in Google. I read that Facebook is doing this. I saw your company is doing this. I think your company should be doing that. It comes out from you automatically. People can feel that you really are interested to do that career switch. And that is, I think, what the hiring manager wants to see most of all. They want to see that enthusiasm, that energy, because I think many times, I can't tell you how many times my managers present in HSBC or other companies, they will come to me and say, what do you think about this candidate? That is also why I believe Eileen is very right. The middleman is very important. The managers actually ask their one downs and their colleagues, what do you think of this candidate? They will always ask that question. And my managers, in fact, my manager asked me just a few days ago, what do you think of this person? Right? And if the colleagues don't like you, how do you think the manager is they're not gonna give you a chance, right? So really you gotta look at it that way. I think it will come from yourself, take the initiative, really show that enthusiasm. When I was preparing for all these things, I would really write down as if I'm studying, I'll write my own notes. I'll have like a long list of Google Docs and I'll write so many things, and it becomes so much so that I really know so much about the industry, right? And that's going to help you. Yeah. Okay. I don't know whether Sean or Eileen has.
You got a lot of questions, in the chat. Someone was also, having a follow-on question like, what certifications were you referring to? Even though for those who can connect with Daniel, I can see that on your LinkedIn, but
Mm.
maybe specifically to your field.
For marketing, you have your Google search, your Facebook search, all your analytics. Marketing analytics is becoming very, very important. So you need to go for all your Tableau and all these things. I mean, not just marketing, yeah. I mean, you look at engineering and HR, you have all your different certs, so some of these certs are really important. And I think what I would advise to a lot of you is, if you really have nowhere to start there. Go for these certifications, right? It may not have to be a full degree program or a full diploma part-time program. Just do the certification. And then, this is what I mean by small steps, right? Take a few certifications. Even LinkedIn has those little certs right now, yeah, that you can do, that people can see that you're certified in these things. Just do all of these things. And this is also what is going to help you build that interest, that passion for this field as well. Yeah.
I think I like that. Just how about Daniel? He's very young compared to us.
The question was what ageism is it?
Yeah, about ageism.
So, I mean, from my point of view, and I think Sean gave a very good answer, is I mean, a lot of companies now are very forward-looking, like HSBC and Facebook and Google. A lot of them, one of their things are very much inclusivity, right? Inclusion, diversity. So they want to start to give a fair chance to all kinds, not just age, but gender, ethnic group and things like that. So I think half of that battle, companies, we have to lean on the companies that are doing their part, because it's really only socially responsible to do that. And I think fortunately a lot of big companies are doing that. I think the other thing to remind ourselves is, sometimes it's us. Sometimes the company doesn't really mind, but maybe because I have that doubt in myself and I hold myself back. And then that might show in the way you present yourself. Maybe you don't even try. Maybe even the questions, you are very self-doubt. And trust me, they can sense this from you, right? And nothing is a bigger turnoff in interviews than self-doubt or no confidence, right? So I think the first battle is trust that companies are more forward-looking. And secondly is, don't be self-doubt. I mean, at the end of the day, put in the work yourself, take the initiative, do your certs, do your homework, prepare, do whatever you can. Tick the boxes that you can. What is in your control, you are the master of that, right? When you have the chance, do it. And then you will prove people wrong. And then people will go like, hey, actually this person is good, because there's no chance for them to put you down, because even though this guy is 40 years old, a bit above my preferred range for whatever reason, but this guy has proven so many things to me, right? I mean, don't give them a reason to write you off, right? So I think
I'm sniggering there, because 40 is young, compared to me.
Yeah, so I think that's my perspective to that issue lah. Because I believe a lot of people have that self-doubt, and then that brings you in a negative spiral, right? And then you are actually canceling yourself out before people even give you a chance.
Daniel, someone asked you, what made you switch from engineering to marketing? Just a quick question there.
So for me, when I was in poly, I realized I didn't like coding. I didn't like coding. I didn't do, but I like the consulting part of it. I like the talking part, right? I like selling the solution of it. And I pay attention to that. I realized that, hey, rather than, because people who go through that situation, they have two ways to react. One is you give up and you say, hey, I got to try again. But the other way is you look at the glass half full. So I decided that, hey, I actually like this part of the job, of my course. So I told myself, when I finish my course, I'm going to do business, and I'm going to do a job that allows me to hone that interest of mine. So whatever quick wins, again, small steps, right? Whatever small learning you have, I just take it and make use of it. So that's what I did. And then I started looking for a marketing assistant job. I gave up my full-time uni for that. I started looking for that. As Sean mentioned, take a temporary job. I asked people whom I know, loved ones and friends, about marketing. I learned about it. I did my own reading, and I tried the job out, and that's it. That's it. You know, the rest is history. You know, so you don't really have many people ask me this question actually, like, how do I, how did you know? How would you have known? There's no, how do you know? And I think there's to one point somebody asked, how do I know whether it's a perfect, how do I know whether I want that calculated risk for this job? The truth is nothing is perfect. There is no perfect candidate. There is no perfect job. There is no perfect industry, right? Everything is a calculated risk. You have to decide yourself, take it upon yourself, and own it, right? And take the small wins. You decide what you do with everything you, whether you fail or succeed. So that is how I approached it, and that's how I ended up in marketing. Yeah.
I like the fact that you even ask, you know, have the audacity to ask before even joining the company, can I talk to some of my peers? Whoa, oh my gosh. That's something that we should all try, right? If you're really keen, that could demonstrate that you're really, really keen to find out more.
Honestly, I think that really worked because, but you have to build a rapport with the manager, lah. You know, I mean, once you know the manager likes you, you probably gonna get a job already. Then they will ask you, you know, anything else you can do. Then that is an opportunity for you to ask. You know, I was hoping that you can put it in a way like, I'm really interested to learn more about the processes and the immediate goals. Position it in that way, and then they can't say no to you, right? Yeah. If you ask out of the blue, of course, like, it's going to be very awkward. Right? Yeah. So I guess it's to the point of career conversations, you have to kind of finesse that conversation and ask it at the, sometimes maybe it's not the wrong question to ask, it's maybe when do you ask it, how do you ask it? So, you know, that's something that I think can think about as well.
Okay, there's a question I think I'll just ask you since you have the floor. In Menti, it says looking forward to switch to IT sector, specifically data analyst, from education and training sector. So we're looking at pivoting with the interest that this individual has finished Tableau, and later on, right? Tableau, later on, I was advised to pursue Python. And so SQL, and then is this the right pathway? That's the question.
Analytics, is it? Yeah, Python is, so I'm not an expert in this. I can only tell you, in my field, analytics is becoming more and more important. Tableau is, I would say now, sorry to say, Tableau is probably basic expectation already, right? So it moves very fast. Many people still think it's a bonus. No, it's basic. Python is AI, so that's where you start to do your modeling and your data predictive modeling, all this kind of thing. So that is the reason why they ask you to do Python, because Python will make your data charting more sophisticated, right? And that's what we call data science, data analyst, data science, and all these things that's coming up now, right? So you got to move fast, you know, Python. And then the other one is SQL. Actually, SQL has been around for a long time. So I think Python and SQL, they are linked to Tableau, because Tableau is just the data visualization, but SQL is the data query, and then Python is the AI, the coding of it. So actually, he's right by asking you to do all these things. Comes back down to the point of, you know, keep learning, keep looking for what's the next thing in the industry. Yeah, don't go and sit down and say, hey, how come you're asking me to do something more? Actually, the industry is moving on without you already.
Yeah, I like that line. Such a quotable quote. The industry is already moving along, right? Moving on without you, with or without you.
Let's jump in, because I think there's some questions that are not answered, right? Somebody asked, what if you don't know anyone in the company, which is very true. I think 90% of the time you may not know people in the company. So what I used to do, and this is just one example, is you ask around. Somebody will know somebody, and the like I said, the most important people you might want to ask is your ex-colleagues, because your ex-colleagues came from somewhere, and then where they came from had many other ex-colleagues as well, and then they probably went somewhere else. So chances are they will know someone from the company, or they will tell you, I heard this, I heard that, from their friends, their wife, spouse, whatever. You start from there, right? So it's like a bit of CSI work, like you got to do your investigation, like, you know, go and find out, go and ask around. The other one is, I think, you know, go and read up the news, go for events with the company, you know, and maybe if you do get a chance with a recruiter, use every opportunity to ask questions about the company, but of course ask in a way that doesn't show that you never do your research lah. Ask questions that shows that you know, but you want to find out more, you know, things like that. Yeah, but it's definitely a challenging one to tackle. But that's how I would just ask around and do your, you know, be an investigator.
Yeah, all right. Let's just look at the next one. I think we've got another one. How do you ask about the company culture if I am an introvert? I think we get that a lot if you're an introvert.
Okay. That's a good one because I have the same question. But how do you ask? So I think one way is to request, build rapport with the hiring manager, and then find a way to request to speak to people in the company. Really, that's really what I did, and I really got that chance to do so. Even in my current company, I got the chance to do that. Yeah, so that is one way, but you have to have a plan, like, you know, build rapport, be confident that you're going to get a job, you know, then I guess that's where the window is open. Ask around, as I mentioned before, because someone will tell you, oh, I heard this, I heard that, right? Glass door, but we did mention a few things to consider about that. That's it. I think but to be clear, right, you have to manage your expectations, right? Many people want to really engineer this 100%, but like I said, there is no perfect job. There is no perfect manager. There is no perfect candidate, right? Everything is a calculated risk. So, you know, always take it upon yourself to do that homework and do that and take the leap. And if it doesn't work out, failure. And as I said before, failure is 99 steps. Failure, 1 step success, and that's success, right? Yep. So you got to look at it that way.
Thank you so much. Let's look at another question here. There are, you know, okay. So this is a generic question, but I'll just ask and give us your opinion, okay? It's because how to market anyone in a mid-career professional, right? With a decade of career gap and coming back to a workforce. Any quick advice here? I would ask Daniel first. Yeah. I mean, you can share your observations since you're so young.
So I think Eileen knows this very well, but I went to lecturing for 2 to 3 years, and then I came back to HSBC. So I guess you can consider me also mid-career. I'm not that young lah, but you know, I spent 10 years, right, and then I went to lecturing, and then I came back to HSBC. So I felt that struggle as well, right? So I think I will mimic what Eileen told me, and I think I remember to today is how do you sell that story, right? How I think if you go back to the point about this being a conversation, right? There's always the unspoken and the spoken elements to it. So I remember Eileen told me position it as, you know, I still kept how I positioned it was I kept in line with the industry by teaching it, you know, by practicing the art of it, but not the science of it. So I drew a link there. I found a way to link and to justify that I haven't really lost my link to the industry. So what I'm trying to say, and this is unique to me, to my case, because what Eileen taught me to do is you got to find a way to position it. Everything is about selling yourself, right? Interview, right? And there's no perfect candidate, as we said so many times. So how do you position it? And of course, not to say that you lie, but how do you, what's your perspective on it? How do you tackle it? The other thing is, again, I don't think you can bluff the interviewer when you are so interested to go to, whether is it mid-career, you got retrenched, or you're 60 years old. If you do your homework, you do your research, you do your preparation, it will show. Your passion will show, your energy will show, right? And trust me, they can pick it up. It's not just answering the question, they can pick it up from you one. So I'll give you one example what I did, right? When I was fighting for my job at HSBC, right? I took the JD, right, which is 10 lines, and every single line of the JD, what people would normally do is they would just answer the question. I went a step further. I said, I went to think, this JD wants this, what more can I do? And I wrote it down, and I created some PowerPoint, you know. It's really true. And the hiring manager never asked me to prepare anything, but I said, can I show you something? And I showed them the slides, and I said, look, this is what I think you should do. So they were like, how come you prepared this? I told them, because I really am interested, because I really did my homework. I really want to show you what I can do, and I have done it. How many candidates could have done the same as you? That's how you show, regardless of your gender, your age, your disadvantages, that you deserve the job. You go the extra step, right?
Yep.
And I believe that that will help you.
Wow. Can everybody please give a reactions? Click your reactions button. Give an applause, please. This is so good. Yeah. Where can we find information or links to your industry event to do networking to widen our circle? Wow. Whoever asked this question, very good.
I think social media is a very good platform for that. LinkedIn has given us half of that battle.
Yeah.
I think Sean mentioned that as well. But of course, if you just open the account and don't do anything and don't spend time there, then you're not going to find anything, you know. So do spend 5 minutes every day on LinkedIn. Follow people, follow thought leaders, as I mentioned before. You know, ex-colleagues might be sharing things about their company, liking things from their ex-colleagues, which is something that maybe you're interested in. So use social media. I think that's a very good one to find out. And honestly, I think that's the most effective way. Social media is perfect for this.
Very, very nice. Wow. Both panelists have been spending so much time with us. I really want to thank our panelists, you know, for